I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. As part of our ongoing coverage on cybercrime and cybersecurity, we recently spoke to several top experts. But before we check in with the CISOs, we caught up with Javad Malik, lead security awareness advocate at KnowBe4.
Many small companies, SMBs, they don't have a CISO, they don't have a dedicated security person. Sometimes the IT person is also their accountant and legal counsel and is responsible for security as well. So they often get caught up in where do we begin? There's so much to security out there. There's so many vendors, there's so many products, there's so many security reports that are published every year about what they should or shouldn't do and what have you. And a lot of attacks, when you look at them, they're successful because of three main root causes. One is taking advantage of unpatched software. So public facing unpatched software can be exploited. The second way is through weak credentials. So this is where people are reusing passwords, using easily guessable passwords, not having multi-factor authentication applied. And the third way is through social engineering. So when it comes to defenses, if SMBs in particular, they address these three, and I say them as these three, they're not very easy, but they are one of the fundamental controls. Going above and beyond that is really dependent on your particular organizations.
In today's digital age, combating the rampant threat of cybercrime is essential for companies to ensure their long-term success. While this can be a daunting challenge for smaller businesses with limited resources, it is not something that can be ignored. Adam Cowan, CISO at Eastman, has witnessed firsthand the damage that can occur when cybersecurity isn't prioritized.
Many small companies, they don't even see a difference between cybersecurity and traditional IT. And they don't realize that expertise is completely separate from that market. And one of the cases I worked in the past actually involved a small business where the CISO had been scammed by a business email compromise situation. And he told me with tears in his eyes that he didn't know how he was going to make payroll for his couple of hundred employees the next 2 weeks. So without understanding that cybersecurity is its own niche, or in my opinion, a superset, not a subset of IT, where you are most successful when you know multiple areas around technology and even outside of it to include the legal market and privacy items. The companies, they think that the IT shop can just perform these cybersecurity skill sets when they can't.
Unlike larger companies that have dedicated cybersecurity teams with employee awareness training and phishing test specialists, smaller companies must instead make the most of the resources available to them. However, according to Deneen DiFiore, VP and CISO at United Airlines, the technical aspects of cybersecurity can only go so far in safeguarding an organization. It is awareness that serves as the most critical line of defense.
There are some services that are targeted towards small and medium-sized businesses with monitoring and detection solutions that businesses can take advantage of. But it really becomes an awareness issue as well, too. Everybody has to use technology and is a digital native nowadays. So being aware of those digital risks and educating yourselves is really important to be able to identify something that looks suspicious and not right. So I think that's one of the things that we have to keep an eye on. And we have responsibility as everyday citizens just in the environments that we operate in and how we live our lives from a day-to-day perspective.
As ransomware attacks become more prevalent and destructive, with global costs projected to reach a staggering $265 billion by 2031, according to Cybersecurity Ventures, small businesses are increasingly feeling the pressure. Cliff Moore, CISO at Wilson Sporting Goods, highlighted a few key points for business owners to remember when it comes to developing an effective and robust cybersecurity strategy.
One of the first things that I always caution is that you're not alone. There's a community that you can reach out to. There's multiple organizations with experienced professionals who have been there and done that. If you're not tapping into your community, then you're not utilizing all the resources at your disposal. Secondly, I like to tell folks it's not as expensive as you think. The common rationale is that, well, to build any type of defense, it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars that doesn't align with any of my budget goals or criteria that I have. And people will bypass protection entirely. Say, well, we have cyber insurance. I've heard that a lot before. We have insurance, it's fine. If something happens, we can just activate the policy, not realizing that the policy has requirements for your cyber defense that you have to meet at a basic level before it'll even activate.
In his role as EVP and CISO at Equifax, Jamil Farshi has seen the whole spectrum of approaches to cybersecurity and knows what factors often make the difference between effective and ineffective operations.
There's a couple of things that I would highly recommend. The first is just focus on the fundamentals. Focus on things like your processes for patching, for configuration management. Make sure you're doing backups. If you do a lot of these very basic things, you're going to be in a far better place. The second one is make sure that you're engaging with the community. There is a ton you can learn. And one of the things I love about security is that most of us just love to share and we want to help wherever we possibly can. So leverage that insight and expertise from the broader group of folks out there because it can really help arm you to defend against a lot of the latest threats. Finally, don't forget about your vendor community. There's a lot of partners out there that can truly help a lot, whether it's making sure you have a retainer in place for an IR firm in the event that something bad does happen, whether it's partnering with the government to make sure you're getting the latest threat intel or you have a relationship with the FBI. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. These are things that anyone can take advantage of, and it really helps to sort of scale your capacity and your ability to defend against the threats that we all face today.
For more information on cybercrime and cybersecurity, including the latest facts, figures, and statistics which convey the magnitude of the threat we're up against, visit us at cybersecurityventures.com. This special production is sponsored by KnowBe4, the world's first and largest new school security awareness training and simulated phishing provider that helps you manage the ongoing problem of social engineering. To learn more about our sponsor KnowBe4, visit KnowBe4.com.